Hello there! I know many of you are already into spring, but don't forget that the most important season is often the one people overlook. For me, the most difficult season to plant is the winter. So if you're interested in a four-season garden, you may want to start with the plants that provide winter interest before adding the other. My best friend recently bought a house with an amazing big lawn. Her property is about half an acre, which is twice bigger than mine. They are looking to transform an amazing big lawn into the stunning garden. So I have put together a fantastic list of the winter interest shrubs that will keep the garden look beautifully even during the colder months. We both live in Eastern Iowa, Zone 5B. So all the plants I have mentioned in this video are perfect to thrive in our zone. They also have deer, and the HOA allows only 5-foot fence, which deer can still jump over. I know that some nurseries use double fences that they don't have to be tall but create 3-dimension barrier because deer can't perceive 3-dimension well and feel they don't have a safe place to land, so they won't try to jump across. But it's impractical for home gardener to have too unappealing fence in the landscape. So planting big shrub along the fence could help by confusing the deer about where they can land, and plant in layer to occupy at least 4 to 5 feet will help. If you are as excited as I am to learn more about these gorgeous plant selection, come along and let's dive into the world of the winter interest gardening and the plant selection that I found. But Midwest Poppy, no pressure. It's just a fun time to look through the plants and read about all the new variety options. I will try to find a plant that will give you at least 2 to 4 season interest. Winter flowering shrub. The first winter flowering that everybody think of is probably witch hazel. There are several forms of witch hazel: upright, vast shape, brown bush, weeping. The flowers are fragrant and they have a nice fall foliage that mostly turning yellow. They like full sun to part shade, and some say afternoon shade will help. At least 6 hours of sun will give them the best flower and a compact habit. They prefer consistent moist and acidic soil with a rich organic matter, but can tolerate slightly alkaline soil commonly found across Iowa based on the Iowa State University extension. They are easy care plants, generally pest-free, and little pruning is needed. The darker flowers like orange or red variety could be difficult to see from the distance and are better placed in front of the evergreens or conifers. Chicago Botanic Garden has a plant trial for almost 36 cultivars of witch hazel, and the trial is still ongoing, but there are some early reports about witch hazel that they mentioned. The first one that they mentioned is a Chinese witch hazel or Hamamelis mollis superbar. It is the most fragrant of them all, and one of the earliest plants to flower in Illinois with a profusion of the slightly larger yellow flowers that appear from February to March. The downy gray-green leaves turn yellow to orange in autumn. It will retain the attractive shades with little pruning needed. The next one that they recommend is Hamamelis X Intermediate or Hybrid Witch Hazel, Jelena. It has yellow and red fragrant flowers that bloom from February to March. The fall color is a mixture of the red and orange leaves. Another one is Hamamelis vernalis or Vernal Witch Hazel, Amethyst. It has slightly fragrant with a reddish-purple blossom, and put another show in autumn as the foliage is turning into the fiery red and orange. At the Chicago Botanic Garden, it typically blooms from the late February to early April depending on the weather. It can form dense multi-stem colonies along stream by sending out sucker. Vernal Witch Hazel is more tolerant of high pH, and it also grows well in poorly drained clay soil. Many of them are used in the parking lots, proving their tolerance. The last cultivar of witch hazel is the common witch hazel or Hamamelis virginiana. This cultivar will bloom in fall when the foliage turns golden yellow, but look at this variegated foliage that it really attracts me, that I really want to talk about since I'm talking about witch hazel. It has highly colorful variegated leaves in gold with dark green centers. that are more vibrant in spring and throughout the growing season. These are followed by the lightly fragrant yellow flower that bloom in fall, usually between the Halloween and Thanksgiving. The variegation is extremely stable and the plant is highly heat tolerant. There's no issue with the burning even at full sun in hot southeastern of the country. It can be grown as a shrub or have the lower branch removed to make a form of a small tree. Little pruning is needed. Next interesting plant is Corylopsis, spicata golden spring, or golden spring witch hazel. It is a stunning deciduous shrub that adds vibrant winter interest to your garden by producing this charming, bright, fragrant yellow flower that dangling in the late winter to the early spring, creating a beautiful display on the bare branches before the foliage emerge. Foliage start off with bright yellow and rouge red tinting, turning into the golden yellow in sun or soft chartreuse to lime green in shade, and finally golden and orange hue in the fall. It prefers rich, well-drained acidic soil with lots of organic matter and thrive in full sun to part shade. It may need afternoon sun to protect the leaves. Once established, it tolerate the occasionally water. Little pruning is needed. The next interesting plant on my list is the evergreen called Mahonia nervosa. It is a low-growing shrub that thrives in the part shade to the full shade and prefers moist, rich soil, but it is adaptable to moist, acidic, well-drained soil. It is drought-tolerant. Mahonia will give the cheerful canary yellow flower in the mid-spring to the early summer. In fall, it has attractive waxy blueberry and foliage, often turning this striking reddish purple after exposed to the cold temperature. The berry is a good source of the animal for food, and little pruning is required other than removal of the dead or broken branches, make it low maintenance. It is an excellent choice for the woodland gardens, ground cover or erosive control on the slopes. Another plant that people would think in terms of the winter flowering shrub is Forsythia. It will bloom in early spring alongside of my daffodils. I read an article from University of Wisconsin that explained how early spring flower from old wood can be damaged by cold winter, especially older variety. They recommend the variety with the hardy flower buds for more reliable bloom called Northern Sun. Forsythia are vigorous plants that require regular pruning to remain attractive and flower well. They should be pruned as soon as after flowering because later pruning will remove the flower buds for the following year. Remove 1/4 to 1/3 of the oldest stem at the ground level every other year once they are established. So why not prune some of them at the time when you want to force Forsythia to bloom indoors, which is end of February in my Zone 5B. We are all itched to get back into the garden anyway. The one that I have called Forsythia Show Off Starlet. I love the foliage change to maroon, almost black in fall, but I'm not really sure if I like to have this much yellow in my landscape in the spring season. If you don't like to have a yellow flower blooming at the same time as daffodil, there's also a white Forsythia as an option. I should have done better homework before choosing the Forsythia. This white Forsythia is a shrub that can grow 3 to 5 feet tall and produces abundance of delightful, fragrant, pure white, star-shaped flower at least 2 weeks before a yellow Forsythia. It has won an award of merit from RHS. The blooms are followed by a foliage of a cool bluish green. Some say there are no fall foliage changes. In addition to the pure white, there is also a pink-white Forsythia, Abeliophyllum, distichum, rosea. It can give a pale pink bloom at the same time as early spring bulbs. And in fall, they will give a decent wine red coloration in the very late October. If you feel the green during the growing season from Forsythia is not exciting enough and want to brighten the spot, there's a variegated option such as Forsythia Golden Times with a stunning yellow, gold, and green variegated foliage that holds even in fall. Or Forsythia Crimson, a very unique and attractive variegated Forsythia with dark green leaf accent with an attractive network of golden vine. These patterns become infused with pink and maroon as the late in fall color. Don't you think it would be a nice sequence of flowering bloom from witch hazel, then white forsythia and yellow forsythia, with a sprinkle of daffodil here and there accent the red tone tulip in each clumps? That would be a dream. I know this is not a shrub, but it's already hard to find a plant that can bloom in the winter like Helleborus, so I wanted to include this for my friend. There are two familiar varieties to the gardener, the lantern rose or Helleborus orientalis and the Christmas rose or Helleborus niger. Both are a clump-form perennial with evergreen foliage and lovely nodding blossom. But there are also another variety called stinking Helleborus or Helleborus fortidus. This cultivar will bloom between the Helleborus niger and Helleborus orientalis. This cultivar will bloom from February to April in Brooklyn Botanical Garden. The first Helleborus to bloom is Helleborus niger or the Christmas rose. Usually will bloom in the late winter. According to Missouri Botanical Garden, they said it is a little harder to grow successful than the hybrid one. The first one to bloom is Helleborus niger Jacob. The one that Jenny Blackwell from Brooklyn Botanical Garden particularly likes is Precox, which starts in bloom from mid-November in Brooklyn. It lights up the hillsides when it blooms and fades into the pink as it ages. The last one to bloom is Helleborus orientalis or lantern rose. This will bloom very early in the spring around Easter, which is how they got their names. These are traditional cultivar, but there's also Helleborus X hybridus, the modern garden hybrid, which actually a complex hybrid involves Helleborus orientalis and many other cultivar. I love Helleborus because there are a lot of many color options, the single flower, double flower, nodding one or the side facing one, but don't forget to look at the foliage too because some of them have a very nice looking cool foliage. They thrive in partial shade with a moist well-drained soil, but they also enjoy winter sun once those shrubs lost their leaves. Once established, Helleborus are tough that can withstand drought and neglect. I have heard that they can also compete the existing tree or shrub, include the maple tree, so I will try it out. The only thing that they're sensitive to is a soggy soil, so plant them on the slope works well. They are deer, rabbit, and even vole resistant. From my experience, buying Helleborus online can be tricky, as they're often very small and take few years to produce the flower. That's why their price is much higher than other plants. Next is winterberries. The first one is Pyracantha. Pyracanthas are tough, easy to grow evergreen shrub, will give a small white cluster of flowers in early summer and berries in fall, which feed the birds through the winter. They are generally hardy from zone 6 to 8 and are known for their thorns. However, I recently found a new variety called Pyracantha coccinea orange star, which completely thornless. The orange fruit adds a pop of color to the plant and is super hardy through USDA zone 1, 2, 3, or 4. I don't even know where the zone 1 exists. Orange star can reach up to 10 feet tall and 10 feet wide. Other varieties with a few thorns are Red Star and Sunny Star. Both are 10 feet tall and 10 feet wide, also from the same breeder, Wenk van der Sar, a Dutch nursery owner who had the idea of thornless Pyracantha back in 2004. These star varieties started to produce berry on the smaller plant at a younger age than other. They also carry more berries than the old variety, and Orange Star is tolerant to fire bright. All of these star series are less sensitive to Phytophthora disease than other varieties. Little pruning is needed, except for remove the old dead stem or thinning the congested growth or restrict the growth. I also saw people do espalier along the fence to create a checkerboard pattern. They're gorgeous. Because of the thorn, deer don't bother them. So I'm not sure about the orange star if the deer will chew them down because there's no thorn. I have tried to find a place to buy in the US, but I couldn't. I hope some of the nursery here will try to bring them here. The only Pyracantha that I found is cold hardy to zone 5B is Yukon Bell, but it has thorny branches. I almost bought it from Lowe's 2 years ago, but I didn't because I don't have place to plant it. I hope Orange Star comes to US soon. Next shrub is Ilex verticillata Berry Poppins or Mrs. Poppin. They thrive in full sun and par shade. Don't you love this red berry popping up when it snows? In order to have her do that, you need Mr. Poppins, which is a male pollinator, to pollinate Mrs. Poppin within 50 feet in a ratio of 1 to 5. It is best to avoid pruning except to remove whole branches for cut flowers or other decorating. Regular pruning or cut back will impact the number of the flowers and quantity of the fruit that they set. There's a bigger version of Mrs. Poppin called Berry Heavy, which uses the same male plant but grow 8 feet tall and 8 feet wide, basically doubling the size of Mrs. Poppins. Another option that uses the same male pollinator and the same size but produce the golden fruit called Berry Heavy Gold. For me, the only downside of this Winterberry is during the growing season is nothing particularly interesting, even with the foliage, the flowers, or even the fall color. But it becomes a main player in the winter, which is the most hardest season to find any plant that will bring interest in your garden. With the search, I found these variegated options called Sunsplash. Normally, I love the variegated leaves, but this shrub for somehow it doesn't appeal to me. There's an option of the pink berry that called Corylopsis Proudberry with more interesting bluish green foliage, or Program Beauty Berry with a dark purple foliage and purple berries. I feel this dark purple can get lost during the growing season and become like a dark spot in the garden, but this is just my taste. I probably prefer the burgundy foliage, which will bring more contrast, but that's just me. I'll go with a bright foliage. This one called Wine Splitter with a white with green and cream splash and pink petiole. The flower also have this small pink and light lavender flower, and it's turned into the bright purple berries, although the fruit production is sparse. The one with more uniform variegations called Calicapa Duet. This cultivar will give you some white berry, although I don't know how it looks with the snow. Instead of Winterberry Beauty Berry, there is a nice option of the Viburnum called Cardinal Candy. Like other Viburnum, it will give the beautiful white flowers in May and June, and then in fall the foliage turns burgundy and bronze with a bright red berries for the cardinals, or Brandywine Viburnum with a more rich autumn color, but it has a blue berries. Viburnum is one of the shrubs that have four-season interest and deer won't bother them. Until my friend's property will be more protected from deer, then rose that produce the rose hip can also be one of their options. Otherwise, we have to put up the barrier to prevent deer from eating the rose, or apply the deer spray on the rose to make rose stinky so they won't eat the flowers. I think it might be better to wait for a year or two, waiting for those shrubs to get bigger and planting the rose after, but ultimately it's their choice. The next shrub is about attractive stem with deer resistant, and everybody will think of this Red Twig Dogwood. These are pretty much like Winterberry that will give you only one season interest, which is winter, but I found with a variegated leaf, so that will give you at least 2 season interest. These are Cornus alba, Elegantissima, Ivory halo, and Sgt. Peppercornus. For me, it's hard to tell the differences among these three by just read the descriptions. What I understand is they all have this variegated gray-green leaf center and the creamy white margin. They all have a fall foliage changes into the kind of the reddish purple color in fall. They all have white berries, and they all have red stem in winter. The only difference that I can find is maybe certain pepper have more tint of the pink foliage in the springtime also. And Ivory halo is the most compact among those three, but still 4 to 6 feet tall and wide. If you know the differences among the three, let me know under the comment. Not only the white and green variegation, there's also an option for yellow and green variegation to bring some yellow into your garden. And this plant also have 4 season changes. with fall foliage and also the winter interest bark. If you don't like variegated chartreuse leaf but want to have just a pure chartreuse foliage, there's another option called Neon Burst from first edition that have a pure chartreuse foliage. This becomes a rainbow of purple, red, yellow, and orange in fall, and in winter the stem turns grassy scarlet red. Not only there are red twig dogwood, but there's also yellow and orange twig dogwoods with a different foliage type. This can be true four-season interest plant if you find a nice foliage that you like. They are very easy care, love wet feet, but can tolerate some drought once established. Although the only thing that you have to do is some pruning. Either you remove the 1/3 of the old stem once a year or cutting all the way down to the ground level every 2 to 3 years to maintain this bright yellow stem. Another fascinating shrub with a winter interest stem is Ninebark that gives you this peeling bark. They came in with a various foliage color and have a nice cluster of the white flower in the late spring. Chicago Botanic Garden have a try for the Ninebark, the one that more mildew resistant, so you can check that out to see which one that will suit with your garden. They are deer and rabbit resistant and very easy care, drought tolerant plant. All of these except Pyracantha can make the garden look bare because they are deciduous plant, so it's better to have some areas of the evergreen shrub or conifer close to your house. I also have videos about conifers and evergreen options that I will have a link above. Conifers are very easy for me, just plant them in full sun. They came in with a several shape and also different color of green like dark green, yellow, or blue. Some even can change the color in winter to be more reddish, bronze, or purple, which will create an interest in different seasons. The only downside of conifer is that not all of them are deer resistant. You should check with university or extension website since the deer preference vary by the area. Unless you're able to fill the area and make deer hesitate to jump through. Or if you're not sure, you can just protect them the first year and observe about deer population in your backyard. For part shade to full shade evergreen with 2 to 4 seasons of interest, deer resistant, can consider Japanese pieris, Leucothoe, and Mount Laurel. These plants offer beautiful bell-shaped flowers in the spring, with mountain laurel featuring unique star-like flower. Their fall foliage can turn burgundy and some have reddish new growth. For full sun, heath and heather are great options. They are evergreen but have various colors of the foliage ranging from chartreuse, green, and all the way that can have some tinge of pinkish. The foliage can also turn reddish in fall, and they have a various flower that bloom in the different time of the year. Singing Tree Nursery has a helpful filter to choose heath and heather based on the bloom month and foliage. Some variety can also bloom from December to March. Unfortunately, these plants require acidic, moist, well-drained soil and not like wet feed. I kill all of them except I haven't tried Mount Laurel. I think the reason that they die because my soil is too alkali. I would suggest doing the soil test and adjust the soil pH before planting these. Heath and heather are also have shallow root, make it difficult to get established. If anybody in here know about the trick how to make heath and heather established, please let me know under the comment. For me, if I have that big yard, I will probably create some corner on each side with a deer-resistant conifer, especially when it is near to the house. Further out, I would plant some deciduous shrub with a winter interest. I wouldn't mind the openness, especially if it is far out from the living area. It makes the backyard look more wider. Perhaps I would create a beautiful wall, alternate with the conifer or evergreens, or even make a espalier with a checkerboard type using the chain link with evergreen that produce red berry like a Pyracantha. Of course, I would plant witch hazel, winter hazel, and white forsythia. on the different side of the property, so at least we have a sequence of the bloom time. I'm not sure I will do yellow forsythia because yellow forsythia bloom at the same time with white and also the yellow daffodil. So I feel at that point we already have enough white and yellow, and I feel the color that I need the most at that point is actually red. I would have some red twig dogwood or winterberry in front of the evergreen or conifer or a wall. And if that spot already have enough green during the growing season, those red twig dogwood or winterberry, I will choose the one that have more interesting foliage like chartreuse or variegated leaves in order to give you 2 or 3 season interest. And Ninebark always be the must for me. It's also native and have various color of the foliage that you can also choose and make it pops in your garden. For sure, I will plant 4 season shrub, Viburnum and Mahonia, and the area that was close to the patio, I will plant the Helleborus, both Lantern rose and Christmas rose to have a long bloom season. Although you can also add the Helleborus fortidus, but I don't really like the flower shape of the fortidus. So I will just do the Lantern rose and Christmas rose. For the remaining of the space, I will plant the variety of the shrub with a spring bloom and summer bloom. I'm not sure I will try those acid-loving evergreen plants. If I do, I will probably do a soil pH and buy one at a time first to make sure they thrive before investing more. Ultimately, this is their garden, but it fills me the joy just go through all the plant selections and dream about gardening even though they will be the one who choose it. And it's perfectly fine if they don't like these options. If you have any interesting shrubs that can provide at least 2 seasons of interest or winter interest and that are deer resistant and hardy to zone 5B for my friend, please let us know under the comments. Here's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more content like this, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Bye!